John Bell Hood, 31. Despite a poor record at West Point, Hood was advancing in grade and impressing his superiors when the war broke out. Hood's Texas Brigade won a claim on the peninsula. But a petty argument with a superior over some captured equipment leads to Hood's arrest as the Maryland campaign gets underway. On September 13th, his men call on Lee to restore their general to command. At South Mountain, Lee gives them Hood. And at Antietam, Hood gives them hell.
It's morning. The sun is rising, lighting up the east face of the Dunker Church, just as it is now. Hood's men are in the woods behind the church. They're hungry, they're tired, they've been marching for days, very little to eat for 3 days. Finally, those food wagons come up. Hood's men finally have a chance to eat.
Eugene, you're gonna eat yours like some damn hound, or wait for this here fire?
I'll wait on you, Big Jim.
They start to light their fires. They're gonna get what water and food they can. And then suddenly that rumble of artillery grows and the orders come. It's time for them to go into the fight.
Fall in! Leave it, Big Jim.
Lieutenant, I ain't had nothing today.
There's no time now. Leave it.
They had been waiting all night for the food to come up. You can imagine the anger and the frustration of those men as they had to set down that food. A few of them snatched a morsel for themselves as they ran into line.
Like the other regiments in Robert E. Lee's army, the 1st Texas joins the battle without breakfast. Many will fight without shoes.
Hurry along now, boys. We're next.
2 weeks ago, George Bernard crossed the Potomac barefoot. And when he reaches Sharpsburg, his feet are sore and bleeding.
You ain't gonna cross into Maryland with no shoes, no, are you?
Malnutrition, diarrhea, dysentery, and bad feet deprive Lee of nearly 5,000 soldiers, including Color Sergeant Bernard, who relinquishes the Lone Star flag he has carried since the regiment's first battle.
Within 5 minutes, they had formed up into their company and regimental commands, into the brigade formations, and they began to move out from behind the Dunker Church and move out along the Smoketown Road where they'd form up in their brigade formation. It must have been magnificent to see those men as they formed along here, almost 800 men that morning, as they formed up and prepared to march in this direction right into battle.
Tell General Lawton to hold his position. We're on our way. We're advancing now. Forward! March!
This is one of the classic charges of the American Civil War. These Texans, full-throated, are pushing across these fields. They're having to go through the broken ranks of Lawton's and Trimble's men. They're also having to push back the Federals that had come through.
They have this reputation of being shock troops, tough infantrymen, and they're thrown in here to stem the tide, this onrushing tide of Federals that were coming down through the cornfield.
First Texas entered a patch of corn and pursued the Federals to near the far side. The regiment, of its own notion and of one accord, advanced, loading and firing at will, unmindful of the galling and deadly fire into its ranks. Colonel Philip Wood, commanding 1st Texas Infantry.
There was an appalling confusion of shattering sound, an unending chaos of violence and heat and intense combat, with fields and thickets wrapped in shifting layers of blinding smoke, so that no man could know and understand any more of what was happening than the part he could see immediately in front of him. Northerners and Southerners wrestling back and forth in the cornfield. One tremendous free-for-all. Bruce Catton.
Casualties just soared. How the battle is materializing, who is winning, who is losing, they don't know. And the war for them becomes this little narrow-focused visage which they can see in front of them. It's total confusion.
These men who are falling on either side of you are not just names in a book. These are people that you grew up with, people that have the same doctor, that went to the same church, who know each other so intimately, who come from the same small community, whose parents know each other so well.
Clinton, cousin, where you hit? Get back to the company. There ain't no company. They're all gone. Get back to the company. Go!
Think of what it would be like to lose 20 of our friends on all sides of this.
God damn it! Get that flag out! Sergeant! Come on! Keep moving! We're almost there! Kind of stop! Get out! Fire!
The Texas Brigade loses 64% of its strength on the Miller farm. 16 of its color bearers are shot down. 9 are from the 1st Texas alone.
All of them back there dead.
In its brief assault in the cornfield, the 1st Texas suffers 82% casualties, the largest loss by any unit on either side in a single battle in the entire war.
Where are the colors?